school kids up here.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, we're on here. Hello class, we're here at Gettysburg. These are all Northampton Community College students, and we've been discussing the battle just as we've been doing it in class and just as you've been reading. But to be here is just very, very different. What we were talking about just before we started shooting is how the battle took place at Gettysburg in the first place. As we know, when Robert E. Lee was making his second invasion of the North, his first attempt in 1862 at Antietam failed in Maryland, and so this time, after two victories in Virginia and with a desire to try to bring the war to an end by scoring a decisive victory in the North. And so strategically we asked, was that a good choice for Robert E. Lee? If you were fighting a very successful defensive battle, why would you go on the offense?
You necessarily couldn't win the war until you actually took northern ground. So I think that's what he was kind of thinking.
Strike a big blow.
Strike a blow, both militarily and psychologically?
Absolutely.
And politically, to make the people in the North feel some of the pain?
It would have made the perfect opportunity for him to sit down with Lincoln then and kind of call it a truce, so the South got their land and the North got their separation.
So he had political motives as well as military ones, right? If I could put the North in any kind of jeopardy, it might force Lincoln to sit down and negotiate with us, right? And if he sat down and negotiated, they would negotiate terms for the secession to recognize the separation of the Confederacy. Up until this point, Lincoln refused to recognize the Confederacy as a country, called them all rebels and criminals, and so he needed some kind of victory on the battlefield. So the next question is, was this the right place? As he began invading, many of Lincoln's generals thought he might come into the North through Maryland again. But this time, he went through West Virginia and invaded through Pennsylvania. The whole time, the Union Army is chasing Lee, but also trying to stay between Lee's army and Washington, D.C. So what's unusual about Gettysburg is that in this battle, the Confederacy is attacking from the north, and the Union Army is attacking from the south. And that is because when Lee comes into Pennsylvania, the Union Army is trying to stay between his army and Washington, D.C. So this is why he would really like to capture the capital, right? And that's the last thing you want to happen. So he keeps his army to the right of Robert E. Lee, and he comes all the way up really past Gettysburg. And his original intention might have been to capture Philadelphia or Harrisburg, right? Until he gets drawn into this skirmish here in Gettysburg. And that's why he kind of turns his army, and they're coming down from the north onto Gettysburg, right? Now, I think one of my favorite heroes of the Battle of Gettysburg is General Buford. Buford. And the reason I think he's one of the most important people is he makes that decision on the first day to hold the town of Gettysburg, right? And that, in the long run, we can see how important that was to choose the battlefield and get the high ground. They got it and they held it for 3 days, and all of that I think owes to Buford's wisdom on that.
See, I don't think that was his plan, though. I think he happened upon it and did some very rapid strategic thinking and just made the executive decision.
Best thinking he could have done, though.
Yeah.
Best thing he could have done, yeah.
Absolutely.
So in retrospect, it was better. And I think the Union Army is getting smarter as the war goes on. Right, so a lot of their early defeats, and the reason Lee seemed so brilliant and Stonewall Jackson is they usually occupy the high ground.
The Union was always on the offense before. Now they're finally at the defensive end, I should say.
Right, and winning, playing defensively, right? So that turns out to be an important move there. Now, why doesn't Robert E. Lee know what he's facing? Right?
His cavalry was missing.
Right. So Jeb Stuart, his cavalry, when they approach Gettysburg, the initial soldiers they encounter, they believe are Pennsylvania militia, not the Army of the Potomac.
90-some thousand troops.
And so therefore he thinks we could just wipe them out of the town and push them back, not knowing that this is the Army of the Potomac, and General Meade has some 90,000 soldiers at his disposal that he can bring to this site. So they get lured into Gettysburg in the first place. right? But although Robert E. Lee only has 75,000, they're closer. And so Meade has to bring his troops in from other parts of Pennsylvania and from Maryland and from D.C. and other areas to get here. So what Buford does that first day, he's buying time. Every hour he's able to stop them is another hour for thousands of Union soldiers to get there. Every day he can hold them. By the second day, they're more. By the third day, they're at full force. So one of Lee's failures is not to move quickly enough. If he had tried to take in this town on the first day, definitely would have succeeded. Second day, he actually does by the evening, and if he had succeeded, the third day wouldn't have happened, and it would have been a victory. So time wasn't on his side, and tactics kind of prevailed. Now, in this particular location, Little Round Top,
Invasion.
let's stop here.